Hello and welcome back to another Swift tutorial. And today we're going to continue building on our knowledge of variables and constants, and we're going to talk about type annotation. There's going to be times, not all that often, but times where you need to create a variable or constant, and you don't yet know the exact piece of data that you're going to use for that. So we need to initialize the variable or constant by saying, hey, this variable or constant is going to be a string or an integer or a boolean. So we need to tell Swift, hey, we want to use this variable somewhere in our program, but we yet don't know the data. For example, if we had a user enter their age, and we don't know their age yet until our program runs, we need to set the variable or initialize the variable before the program runs. So we got to set a type for that. All right, so let's open up our playground here, and we're just going to say type annotation. Annotation. I might have spelled that wrong, but type annotation. Hit next. Great. And waiting for the playground to come up. All right, so let's just do a quick review real quick. We already have one here where it says var. So we're saying, hey, we're creating a variable. Its name or label is going to be str for string, and then our data is a string that says hello playground. All right. So how do we create a constant? It's let is our keyword. It says, hey, we're going to create a constant, and we're going to say name equal to, and I'm going to use my name Tom, and you can use your name if you want. And this is our constant, something we can never change, right? Once it's created. So how about if we don't know our variable or constant's um, value yet? Like right here, we know their value. Hello playground and Tom. We know that value. So when we're writing our program, we can put that in. There's no need for type annotation. But how about for a user's age? If we're going to create a user's or a way to grab a user's age, but we don't know that until the user uses our app, for example. So we need a way to initiate that variable so it can exist in the Swift program until we get data for it. So Swift calls this type annotation, and basically what we're saying is, hey, initialize this variable, and it's going to be a certain type. For example, a string, an integer, a double, which is a floating point number if you're coming from another programming language, boolean, an array, set, or a dictionary. So you need to basically say, hey, this is what it's going to represent to initialize that variable. So let's take a look at it. So we're going to do var, and we're going to say age, and colon here instead of the equal sign, because the colon is going to say, hey, this is just a type annotation. It is not. It's not equal to a certain. It's not representing a certain piece of data. And then in this case, we're going to say int, which is an integer, which doesn't have a decimal point in the number. Hit return. All right. So if I go age is equal to 4, and I'm going to get over here, age is equal to 4, eventually when my amazingly slow computer catches up. But if I went and said age is equal to 4 like this in a string, I'm going to get an error. And the reason I'm getting an error is because we set this to an integer, not a string. So if I go over here, it says cannot assign a value to string to type of integer. All right, so we can't do that because we already initialized our variable to represent a integer. All right, so let's take a look at a string. Let's say var dog colon, same thing, string, capital S, and you write out string, and then we'll set dog equal to Maggie. That was my dog that passed away. So dog, we set it to Maggie. All right. Now the same thing. If I went to set dog equal to 7 and hit return, I'm going to get that error again that says you can't set int to string. All right. Can't set int type to string. All right. So we can't do that because we already initialized it. There's a couple other ones we can do, like a boolean that's true or false. We'll just do var yes, oops, yes, colon, bool, that's for boolean, and we can set yes equal to false, which is like a double negative. Um, all right, so we can say yes to false, and I'm not going to go through each one of these and show you that I can't set it to an integer and I can't set it to a string because I set it to bool. Hopefully you guys got that. Another one we can do is var double. So we'll do wait, and double is a floating point number. It's a number with a decimal point. So if I went weight is equal to 125.8. All right. Um, Also, I could do an array, which is an ordered list of data. So I could do var equal to array. If I did uppercase A here, it's actually a method, so I can't do that. So I did lowercase array, and we'll do colon, and then we do square brackets, and we'll say it's going to be a string. So it's an array of certain strings of data. So we could do array is equal to, and then square brackets, and we say hi, and we do comma there. All right, so I got two strings in an ordered list, and if I wanted to get hi, we're going to go over this a lot more, so don't get all freaked out that I'm not really explaining it. We created a list that, or an array that contains two strings, all right, and I'm able to access that by a number because this is an ordered list, and I was able to access high because it's 0, and array always starts 0, 1, and counts all the way up. All right, we can do a set. You can do var set and capital set, and then brackets, and we'll say this is going to be a string. All right. Oops, not element, not dot element. I didn't mean to do that. And a set is an unordered list of data. You don't use sets, well, at least I don't use sets all that often, but it's an unordered list. So up here, it's not like this where it's ordered, it's unordered. We can also do dictionary. Now you use dictionaries a lot, so dictionary. Probably spelled that wrong too because I'm having an awful day of spelling. Square brackets, and then we're going to say int, which this first one is the key, and then colon, and then we'll say string, and the second one's the value. So if I do, let's do dictionary is equal to 1 dog, 2 cat. Alright, so now we got a dictionary. These are our values over here. These are our keys. So if I said something like dictionary square one, alright, it's going to return to me dog. There you go. So basically I'm saying, hey, I want to get the key. It's like a table of contents or something like that. I want the key, and it's going to return to me the value. All right. So this is type annotation, and don't worry too much about dictionary here or the array here because we will dig into this really deep. I want you to focus on our actual type annotations. So when we have a variable where we don't have a or I should say a constant, where we don't actually have a data yet for or value yet for, we have to initialize it in our program for it to work. So we say, hey, we're initializing the variable here, age, and we're saying it's going to be an integer. All right. We also do initialize dog, the variable here, and it's going to be string, and so on. All right. So if we don't have the data yet, we still have to initialize it before our program runs, so it's available to us. So we have to say what kind of data it is. But there's an exception to that, and that is let's do var whatever. All right, and we can do any object. All right. Now this can be anything. So if I do whatever is equal to 4, and I do whatever, my computer's first, is equal to, this is a string, return, and once my computer catches up, you'll see it says whatever is equal to 4, and then this is a string. So basically we're saying, hey, override everything we just learned here and use any object. Well, this is not the safest way, nor is it the most efficient way to write your code. There's one more we could also do here. We can say var whatever 2, and we can say any. Any. Then we can do the same thing. Whatever 2 is equal to 5. Whatever 2 is equal to 5.4. Alright? And it's the same thing. It's saying, hey, override everything we just learned, and please just let me put whatever I want to put in there. Now, you won't use this all that often because when you're writing your program, you're going to know what kind of data your users return to you. Say it's an email address. Well, they're going to return you a string, so, hey, set it to string. Say it's age. Well, they're going to return to you their age in an integer format versus their age in a double format where they're breaking it down to, hey, I'm 34 and a half, so it's not going to be 34.5. All right, so just know that any object and any are available to you, but we're going to cover these more as we move along because these get kind of advanced when things get hairy. So we'll cover that later. But if you have any questions, leave a comment on YouTube or on our website at swifttutorial.online, and we'll see you in the next one.